Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. In recent years, the United States has continuously intensified its restrictions on China's technological development, and the Sino-US technological war has become more intense. After a series of interactions, such as amending the rules several times, restricting the technology exports of American companies to Chinese companies, and China's sanctions on American corporate entities, China has gradually achieved technological breakthroughs and development. This article will introduce the background of the Sino-US science and technology war, China's counterattack, China chips technological breakthroughs, and the US's compromise with China from multiple aspects. The United States restricts the technology export of Chinese companies, and the technological conflict between China and the United States is becoming more and more intense. Against the backdrop of tense trade relations between China and the United States has repeatedly revised its rules to restrict technology exports from American companies to Chinese companies. In addition, China's physical sanctions on American companies have exacerbated the contradictions between the two countries. However, nearly 4 years after the United States suppressed Chinese companies such as Huawei, China chip has achieved tremendous development, which has further intensified the technological competition between the two countries. China strikes back at the US. The Chinese government imposes physical sanctions on US companies, slows down the approval process for mergers and acquisitions. In the face of US restrictions and sanctions, the Chinese government has also hit back. China has successively imposed physical sanctions on American companies such as Micron and Mintz Group in response. In addition, China has also slowed down the approval speed of American companies such as Nvidia for mergers and acquisitions of foreign companies, indicating that the Chinese government will not stand idly by in the face of technological restrictions on American companies. Chinese companies already have a leading edge in certain technology areas. Especially in the fields of 5G technology, drone technology, and semiconductor technology, China already has some companies that have a leading edge over the international advanced level. These technological advantages are not only beneficial to the development of Chinese enterprises, but also conducive to the diversified development of Chinese industries. The United States is worried and fearful of the impact of Chinese companies' development in the field of science and technology. This worry and fear mainly manifests itself in the following aspects. 1. The United States is worried about the development of Chinese companies. The United States believes that the continuous rise of Chinese companies in the high-tech field will inevitably pose a great threat to the United States. Especially after Huawei was blocked by the United States, the panic of the United States against Chinese companies even reached a crazy level. 2. The United States discloses its requirements for Chinese companies. The US government has publicly made rude demands that China stop investing in high-tech research and development. These requirements pose difficulties and challenges to the development of Chinese enterprises. 3. Development prospects of Chinese enterprises. Although the development trend of Chinese enterprises in the high-tech field is very good, it will pose a potential threat to the United States. However, Chinese enterprises also face multiple problems, such as internal system constraints, and international market pressure. The rise of China core technology. The development and technological breakthrough of China chip. With the intensification of the Sino-US science and technology war, in order to reduce its dependence on the United States, China has begun to step up the development of its own semiconductor industry. Recently, 14 nanometers pure domestic chips have been mass-produced on a large scale, with a daily production capacity of more than 1 billion chips. Domestic lithography machines have been moved into the production lines of Chinese companies, and the Chinese Academy of Sciences has developed EUV light source engineering machines. Rise. U.S. eases restrictions. U.S. eases restrictions on Chinese companies. Woes for U.S. semiconductor firms. In the context of fierce technological competition between China and the United States, the United States has to adjust its policies. The United States has relaxed restrictions on cooperation with American semiconductor companies such as Chinese DRAM memory manufacturers Changshan Storage, Fanlin Group, Calais, and Applied Materials. However, these restrictions have affected the production and employment of U.S. semiconductor companies. Many U.S. semiconductor companies have experienced large-scale layoffs and closed production lines because they cannot freely cooperate with Chinese companies. Why did the United States compromise? The rise of China's science and technology is an inevitable trend. The rise of China's technology is the general trend, and American companies will not sit still. They must cooperate with the Chinese market. Chinese scientists have continuously made major technological breakthroughs, which has brought a huge crisis to American semiconductor companies. Therefore, the relaxation of restrictions in the United States is also an inevitable trend. As for the rise of China chips technology, the United States may supervise it to ensure its own interests. With the intensification of the Sino-US technology war, China has launched a series of counterattacks and achieved technological breakthroughs in the chip field, further intensifying the technological competition between the two countries. The relaxation of restrictions in the United States is also an inevitable trend, which reflects the inevitable trend of China's technological rise to a certain extent. In the future, the scientific and technological competition between China and the United States will continue, and the technological breakthroughs and cooperation between the two parties will lead the trend of world technological development. What do you think for this? Welcome to leave a message to discuss in the comment area.